Imagine a tidal wave swelling on the southern U.S. border as the current administration braces for a surge of illegal immigrants racing to cross. Now, picture this: a Texas federal judge striking down a policy aimed at fast tracking green cards for 500,000 illegals here in God. Imagine a tidal wave swelling on the southern U.S. border as the current administration braces for a surge of illegal immigrants racing to cross before Donald Trump takes over. Now, picture this: a Texas federal judge striking down a policy aimed at fast tracking green cards for 500,000 individuals here illegally. At the same time, polls show a vast majority, 82% of Americans, expect Donald Trump to follow through on mass deportations if reelected, which he was. This is the climate of our constitutional republic faces as we approach critical policy decisions, with Trump already influencing outcomes from outside the Oval Office. Welcome to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, where we dive into today's stories impacting the foundation of our nation and the American people. We'll be right back. The rising border crisis remains front and center. Following a conversation with Donald Trump, New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced the city will halt its practice of providing prepaid debit cards to illegal immigrants. Adams' office revealed, quote, as we move towards more competitive contracting for asylum-seeking programs, we have chosen not to renew the emergency contract for this pilot program once the one-year term concludes. This decision follows a pilot program costing New York City taxpayers $3.6 million, used to supply debit cards to illegal immigrants staying in taxpayer-funded hotels. For a family of four, these payments amounted to $350 each week. And in the current fiscal year alone, illegal immigrants have cost New York City $1.4 billion in total. Adams, often seen at odds with the former president, has maintained a pragmatic approach by refusing to liken Trump to decisive figures, stating, I don't think it's fitting to state the former president is equal to being Hitler. It might be the personal lesson of what's going on in New York that he's realized the error of his ways, and the fact that when he spoke up about it, they tried to throw the guy in jail. It's worth mentioning that Trump has extended some level of sympathy to Adams in the face of a federal probe into Adams' administration. A probe some have suggested is retaliation against his criticism of the Biden administration's handling of the border. Trump's influence on immigration issues is apparent, even as he stands outside the political office, showing the effects of his leadership approach are still being felt. Welcome back. let's address the recent election results that threw political pollsters for a loop. In the final weeks, mainstream polling outlets claimed the presidential race would be a nail biter. They could not have been more mistaken. Data from Real Clear Politics exposes discrepancy between polling and the actual results across swing states. In Arizona, polls underestimated Trump's support by 4.1%. Pennsylvania, 1.6% underestimation. Michigan, 2% underestimation. Wisconsin, 1.4% underestimation. And Nevada, 3.1% underestimation. Trump not only performed well in swing states, I think he won them all, but surpassed polling expectations in deeply Democratic states. Take New York, where Trump secured 44.2% of the vote, despite polls showing him at 39.3%. Polls also indicated Kamala Harris would lead by 0.1% in the popular vote, but Trump ended up ahead by 3%. This is no isolated polling era. Historically, polling has repeatedly underestimated Trump's support. In 2020, polling was off by an average of 2.7%, and in 2016 by 1.1%. Notably, a shock poll by Ann Seltzer of the Des Moines Register forecasted Harris would win Iowa by 3 points. Trump won by nearly 14 points. Polls have not kept pace with Trump supporters, and many Americans are losing faith in these statistical models. Told you folks time and time again, polls are great to talk about in the news, but my faith in them, long time ago, no. It's opinions. It's just opinions. It's all about how you deliver it. Just 2 weeks ago, Trump shared his skepticism of polls with Joe Rogan, who agreed, saying 2016 taught a lot of people about the ineffective use of polls. Trump added, I don't know of one person in my whole life that ever got called by a pollster. Well, I actually kind of did. I get a couple of calls, but I don't know how well pollsters they are or not. We'll be right back. Now let's turn to a grave security issue. There is a mounting evidence that Iran has developed chemical weapons based on pharmaceutical agents like fentanyl. These pharmaceutical based agents, or PBAs, have been weaponized for potential use in artillery and grenades. Iran's PBAs are designed to incapacitate victims by affecting the central nervous system, raising serious concerns if these weapons reach militant groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. Matthew Levitt of the Combating Terrorism Center at West Point has warned, quote, the threats posed by Iran's weaponized PBA program can no longer be overlooked. Evidence indicates that Iran has previously deployed PBAs against adversaries, and there is fear that Hezbollah could use them to capture Israeli civilians or soldiers. PBAs also pose a risk for American troops stationed in regions where Iran and its proxies operate. While not as lethal as weapons of mass destruction, the strategic advantage of PBAs lies in their ability to incapacitate rather than kill, allowing Iranian-backed forces to conduct kidnappings and offenses with plausible deniability. Danger, 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 danger. We'll be right back. All right, here's the big news of today. You might not hear too much on the news, but it's important. It's political maneuvering. McConnell's alleged coup against Trump's agenda, and a move that has rattled Trump's allies and drawn swift backlash from prominent conservatives. Senate minority leader Mitch McConnell is accused of orchestrating what's being described as a coup against Trump's agenda by expediting the Senate leadership elections. This alleged maneuver comes just as Donald Trump secured a decisive mandate from the American people, winning the presidency with what is being called one of the clearest mandates in 40 years. This unexpected leadership election, scheduled by secret ballot, has been interpreted by many as McConnell's efforts to consolidate power and, in fact, undermine Trump's incoming administration. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, a major figure in conservative media, sounded the alarm to his 14.5 million followers on social media, voicing concerns over McConnell's intentions. Carlson posed the question to many supporters of the Trump's agenda by asking, "What in the hell is going on in the U.S. Senate?" He then accused McConnell of engineering a coup by prioritizing his personal influence over the Senate's alignment with Trump's platform. Carlson's concern is based on the observation that McConnell seems to be backing candidates who oppose Trump's policies rather than those who would support his agenda. Of the three primary candidates for the Senate GOP leadership, only Rick Scott of Florida has aligned himself openly with Trump's vision. Carlson labeled one of McConnell's preferred candidates, John Cornyn, as a, quote, angry liberal, suggesting his policies are indistinguishable from those of outspoken Trump critic Liz Cheney. By holding the vote early, McConnell essentially blocked newer pro-Trump senators from having a say in the Senate's GOP leadership. In response, Carlson urged conservatives to call their senators and demand a public endorsement of Rick Scott, stressing that a secret ballot would leave the door open for McConnell's influence to overpower the will of Trump supporters. Don't let McConnell get away with it again, Carlson warned, highlighting the risk of a McConnell-led leadership slate imposing a check on Trump's ability to implement his policies effectively. Meanwhile, Laura Loomer, a high-profile Trump supporter, weighed in with her own critique. Loomer, known for her aggressive activism and unwavering support for Trump, argued that McConnell's actions represent a betrayal of the very voters who supported Trump's platform. She referenced the Senate GOP's internal bylaws, alleging McConnell violated them by scheduling the leadership vote in what she describes as an unseemly rush. Loomer remarked, quote, "Why didn't anyone have the balls to talk about this a month ago like I did?" She went on to accuse McConnell of orchestrating this move under the guise of, quote, unity, but claimed that unity in this context meant compromising Trump's platform. Now, Loomer's frustration highlights a broader disconnect within the Republican base. She observed, quote, "People cried about unity. This is what unity gets you. A McConnell coup to undermine the entire second Trump administration." In her view, the calls for unity within the GOP has been used as a smokescreen, paving the way for McConnell to keep Trump's agenda at arm's length in the Senate. This alleged, quote, coup showcases the ongoing ideological battles within the GOP, and Trump's base is pushing for a party that aligns more closely with his populist America First agenda, while traditional GOP leaders like McConnell seek to maintain control over the Senate with an emphasis on conventional conservative principles. For Trump supporters, McConnell's move feels more like an attempt to return to the pre-Trump status quo, effectively sidelining the populist movement that reshaped the Republican Party over the last 8 years. Now, McConnell's decision to press forward with the secret ballot vote further complicates matters for Republican senators, who must now choose between loyalty to the party's traditional leadership or alignment with Trump's vision. The secret ballot process itself raises suspicions as it allows senators to avoid public accountability for their votes, making it harder for constituents to see where their representatives truly stand on Trump's policies. Now, the final decision will play a crucial role in shaping the legislative future of Trump's administration. And if McConnell's preferred candidates take control of the GOP Senate leadership, Trump could face resistance not only from across the aisle, but from within his own party. With this election, McConnell's influence over the Republican Party and his willingness to challenge Trump's approach is on full display, highlighting the fault lines that continue to divide the GOP between its establishment and populist wings. As this power struggle unfolds, Trump supporters worry that McConnell's actions could hinder key components of Trump's agenda on immigration, trade, and foreign policy, potentially blocking his administration's priorities from gaining traction in the Senate. Now, for Trump's loyalists, this coup is not just a procedural maneuver, it represents an existential challenge to the Republican Party's future direction. All I got to say is a lot of stuff. That's just D.C. and Washington. The swamp is trying to make sure that Donald Trump cannot come in and pull out that vacuum cleaner and suck up that swamp and clean things up. And short-circuiting McConnell seems like he's trying to do his last hurrah and put that foot in the door and keep Donald Trump from out, getting in there and getting what's needed to be done. We'll be right back with the hashtag GoRight Recap Remix. Welcome back to the hashtag GoRight Recap Remix. In today's hashtag GoRight, we're seeing systemic. Welcome back to our hashtag GoRight Recap Remix. In today's hashtag GoRight, we're seeing systemic shifts across our constitutional republic. The Biden regime faces challenges at the border as they brace for a surge of illegal crossings with an election on the horizon. Well, the election already happened. New York Mayor's Eric Adams halts prepaid debit cards for illegal aliens, signaling a shift after his recent conversation with Donald Trump. And across swing states, polling has once again underestimated Trump's support, revealing a massive misjudgment as he gained ground in states no one expected. Meanwhile, in the Senate, Mitch McConnell is stirring controversy with what's being called a coup against Trump's agenda by pushing early secret Senate leadership elections, something many see as a direct attempt to sideline Trump's America First vision. Conservative voices like Tucker Carlson and Laura Loomer are rallying the base, calling out McConnell's actions and urging voters to support Rick Scott, the only leadership candidate who is openly aligned with Donald Trump. Internationally, Iran is reported to be developing dangerous pharmaceutical-based chemical weapons, laced with fentanyl, et cetera, raising alarms with potential impacts on regional security. These chemical agents could incapacitate troops and civilians alike, with Hezbollah and other Iranian-backed proxies believed to be in possession of these weapons. That's a lot, folks. So thank you for joining in. Hashtag GoRight with Peter Boykin. For more information on these critical issues, you can stay on top of the breaking news. You can head over to GoRightNews.com. You can also find Go Right News on rumble.com, Spreaker, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter, and many other platforms. If you'd like to support our mission, donations are always welcome. The Cash App at $ Peter Boykin, the number 1, with all links available on gorightnews.com and peterboykin.com. And remember to like and share this podcast and follow and let your friends know. So stay informed, stay engaged, and always go right. God bless everybody. Peace.